A man so obsessed with his own reflection that he practically turns his mansion into a hall of mirrors? Yes, the original influencer before Instagram was even a concept. Now imagine that this man, drowning in debt, still insists on living like a king because, well, appearances are everything. Add a daughter who listens to everyone but her own heart and sprinkle in some scheming suitors, and you have one of the juiciest dramas of the 19th century. Buckle up, because this story is a cocktail of pride, persuasion, and a healthy dose of hypocrisy. Our story begins with Sir Walter Elliot, a man who has three great loves in his life: his own face, his mirror collection, and oh, his title. Sir Walter is the kind of guy who wakes up, looks at himself in the mirror, and says, "Damn, you handsome devil," at least 50 times before breakfast. He even has a book of baronets, basically a family brag book, that he reads like some people read the Bible. This man isn't just vain, he's professional level vain.
Okay.
But here's the kicker. While Sir Walter is busy admiring his perfect jawline, he's also busy spending himself into poverty. Yep, the Elliots are broke. So broke that reality finally hits. They have to give up their precious Kellynch Hall and move to Bath. Bath, where the social climbers gather to gossip, gamble, and judge. But before they can make the big move, they need someone respectable to rent Kellynch Hall. And by respectable, Sir Walter means aristocratic, rich, and wrinkle-free.
Hello, rich people?
Now here's where it gets fun. The tenants they get? Admiral and Mrs. Croft, a sailor and his wife. Oh, the horror. Sir Walter hates sailors. Why? Because they age fast, they wrinkle like prunes, and worst of all, their profession allows men of obscure birth to rise into ranks their ancestors never dreamed of. How scandalous. Imagine people actually earning their status instead of inheriting it. Disgraceful, right?
Inconceivable.
But let's talk about Anne Elliot, our heroine. Sweet, sensible Anne, the middle daughter. She's like that quiet kid at a family gathering who sees through everyone's nonsense but doesn't say much. Unlike her father and her sister Elizabeth, Anne isn't obsessed with titles or money. She believes in love, real, heart-pounding fairy tale love. But years ago, when she fell in love with a certain young naval officer named Frederick Wentworth, her family and friends were like, whoa, 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 marry a man with no title, no fortune, and no connections, over our dead aristocratic bodies. And poor Anne, she was young, impressionable, and guess what? Persuaded. She gave him up. Yup, the love of her life gone, sailing into the horizon. And years pass. Anne is now in her late 20s, which back then practically made her a senior citizen. She's unmarried, overlooked, and living in the shadow of her family's snobbery. Elizabeth, her older sister, is still single too, but struts around like she's royalty. And then there's Mary, the youngest, who's married to Charles Musgrove and has made whining an Olympic sport. She's always sick, always complaining, always making drama out of nothing. Honestly, if Mary had Instagram, it would be filled with selfies captioned "feeling fragile today." So the Elliots pack their bags for Bath, leaving Anne behind to stay with Mary and her in-laws, the Musgroves. And what a breath of fresh air the Musgroves are. They're warm, lively, and most importantly, normal. They don't care about titles or wealth. They just want their kids happy. Can you imagine? What a revolutionary concept.
Unbelievable.
But then, plot twist, Captain Wentworth is back. Oh yes, the man Anne once loved, now rich, successful, and still devastatingly handsome. He's come home a captain, dripping with naval glory and ready to settle down. And Anne? Well, let's just say the sight of him hits her harder than a wave in a storm. Except, things are awkward. Because guess what? He's hanging around the Musgroves, flirting with Henrietta and Louisa, and poor Anne just has to sit there, watching, smiling politely, while her heart breaks all over again. Now Louisa, oh Louisa, spirited, headstrong, adventurous Louisa, she's all about spontaneity and having fun. But Wentworth isn't exactly falling head over heels for her either. He admires her energy, but something's missing. Still, he spends time with her, and people start whispering. Are they engaged? Is Anne about to lose her chance forever? But fate has a funny way of playing games. During a seaside trip to Lyme, Louisa decides to show off her daring spirit by jumping off some steps into Wentworth's arms. Except, oops, she miscalculates and bam, head injury. Louisa is down, and Wentworth? He's shaken to his core. Suddenly, the lively, fearless Louisa isn't so lively anymore. Cue dramatic music. So, while Louisa is on the mend, Wentworth starts to realize something important. The girl he truly respects, the woman who stayed calm during the crisis, who is sensible, kind, and steadfast. Well, that's Anne. Our Anne. Meanwhile, Anne's stock is rising everywhere. Folks who once ignored her are suddenly noticing her intelligence and grace. And then, just when we think everything is heading toward a happily ever after, enters Mr. Elliot, the heir to Sir Walter's title and estate. This guy is slick. Seriously, he's charming, polished. He's got Bath society eating right out of his hand. And now he wants Anne. Why? Because she's beautiful, refined, and let's be honest, he's also eyeing the family fortune. But Anne isn't fooled, not for a second. She sees straight through his polished exterior to the schemer within. And then comes, honestly, one of the most romantic moments in all of literature, a letter. Captain Wentworth writes to Anne, pouring out his heart. He never stopped loving her. Never. Through all the years, through all the storms, it was always her. And when Anne reads those words, oh, reader, I swoon every single time. Forget texting, forget sliding into DMs. This is romance. Finally, the misunderstandings clear, the obstacles vanish, and Anne and Wentworth reunite. They've both changed, they're older, wiser, but the love, still strong as ever. And the book that gave us this tale of vanity, pride, persuasion, and second chances, Persuasion by Jane Austen. Now let's talk about this book. What struck me most, beyond the romance, is how Austen shreds the hypocrisy of her society with surgical precision and a dash of wit. She takes a world obsessed with status, wealth, and appearances, and exposes its absurdities. Like Sir Walter, so consumed with his aristocratic image that he would rather sink financially than cut down on expenses. Or Mary, clinging to her imaginary illnesses because fragility was considered feminine. And then there's this gem of a quote from Mrs. Croft, who, by the way, is one of my favorite side characters. She says,
"But I hate to hear you talking so, like a fine gentleman, and as if women were all fine ladies instead of rational creatures. We none of us expect to be in smooth water all our days."
What a mic drop moment. Mrs. Croft basically tells her brother, Captain Wentworth, to stop treating women like delicate porcelain dolls. And this is Austen in a nutshell, challenging gender norms long before it was cool. The novel also digs into class mobility, the horror of sailors becoming wealthy and moving up in rank, upsetting the old aristocratic order. Through characters like the Musgroves, Austen shows us another way, a world where happiness matters more than status, a world where love, not rank, dictates marriage. Anne Elliot is one of Austen's most mature heroines. She's not a sparkling debutante like Lizzie Bennet. She's quiet strength personified. And her journey, from persuasion to self-determination, is just beautiful to witness. Themes include marriage and social status. Yeah, that's the big theme here. Marry for love or marry for convenience. Society says the latter, but Austen, well, she argues for the former. Pride and vanity. Sir Walter is basically a walking Instagram filter. Enough said. Gender roles. Austen's got this subtle rebellion going on against a world that just infantilized women. Class and mobility, the Elliots, they despise sailors for climbing the social ladder. Austen, she loves sailors for doing exactly that. Jane Austen. What can I say that hasn't been said? Born in 1775, died in 1817, Austen wrote only 6 major novels, and yet she shaped English literature forever. Her works are witty, incisive, and honestly, just timeless. She understood people, their ambitions, their follies, their pretensions, and she skewered them with elegance and irony. So, if you've ever wondered whether second chances at love really exist, or if you just want to laugh at society's absurd rules, Persuasion is your book. And trust me, it's more than just a romance. It's Austen firing shots at the patriarchy with her quill. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.